Most people still imagine a billion-dollar company as this giant skyscraper packed with people that are burnt out, doing 14-hour days and in endless meetings. But that's an industrial age wet dream, and it's completely dead. I've been there. My last company did 9 figures in revenue, and it could have been worth billions of dollars on the public market, but it came with over 1,000 employees and all the headaches that go along with that. If I could do it all over again, I'd do it like this. Imagine a founder. He's barefoot on a balcony in Bali, laptop open, coffee in his hand, surfboard on the wall, and the payments are rolling in from all over the world. AI is writing all of his code. It's running the marketing and the customer support. AI is even getting its own users to sell it through network effects. That's exactly how I'm building my next billion-dollar tech company, from a single laptop. In this video, you're going to discover the 10-step playbook that makes this possible and the one hidden lever that you have to pull no matter what. So here's the 10 steps to becoming a one-person billion-dollar company. Step 1. Find a problem that's so small the giants ignore it. Big companies move slowly. Think of them like aircraft carriers trying to turn around. You've got to be a speedboat. I learned this the hard way. My last company was aimed at a multi-trillion-dollar market, and I did pretty well. I made 9 figures in revenue, and it would have been valued at 10 figures on the public markets. But I had over 1,000 employees, and it became too human resource dependent. The shift happened, though, when I stopped asking, what's a huge market? And started asking, what's broken but too small for the giants to even care about it? There's so many great examples of this. When Patrick and John Collison started Stripe, they were not aiming to be the next JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs. They were 2 Irish brothers in their 20s, fresh out of MIT, sitting in a small apartment in Palo Alto, California. Every developer they knew hated accepting credit cards online. It was slow, messy, and buried under paperwork. Everyone complained, but nobody was fixing it because the big payment processors were too busy chasing huge corporate contracts where they had consistent billable revenue. So the Collisons built a tool that took 5 minutes to set up, and it just worked simply. There was no bank visits, no forms, and in only a few lines of code through an API, you could start accepting payments. At first, Stripe didn't even have a public sign-up. Patrick personally emailed API keys to the first 100 users. And they weren't disrupting finance. They were just solving one nightmare so cleanly that the word of mouth did all the heavy lifting for them. The future of banking label only came over a decade later after they'd already won that small micro market. So write this down. Pick something with a high pain threshold, but it has to be high frequency and a high willingness to pay. Forget trends. Own a problem that's so sharp, people feel embarrassed they've put up with it for so long. Step number 2 is to make AI your army. Napoleon Bonaparte once said that an army marches on its stomach. He knew it didn't matter how brilliant your strategy was. If your troops were slow, tired, or hungry, you lost. Logistics decided the outcomes of war, and business is no different. Early on, I thought the game was hiring fast. Then I watched my friends build massive payrolls, and they collapsed under their own weight. Their armies needed salaries, benefits, training, and endless layers of HR and management just to stay operational. With AI, your army never sleeps, it never gets tired, and it never asks for a raise. It's like having a division of elite soldiers who can code, market, research, and respond instantly for however much an API call costs. So in a one-person billion-dollar company, my team would look like this. AI would be writing and testing code, but not just bumping out boilerplate code. I'm talking about diagnosing bugs before they even hit the production line, suggesting optimizations, even deploying updates in minutes instead of weeks. What used to take a developer a month now happens as fast as when you're eating dinner. And AI can generate hundreds of ad variants overnight. It can tailor headlines, creative angles, and audience-specific copy. On top of that, it's obsessed with data. It can A/B test in a simulated environment before a single dollar of real capital is spent. Then you wake up to a short list of winning ads and working code that outperformed anything you did in decades of experience. See, you can use AI also to monitor every competitor's move while you sleep. It can scan their websites, track pricing changes, watch social engagement spikes, and alert you to emerging trends all in real time. If I was doing it all over, I'd start my morning knowing exactly which features to build, what markets to target, and which gaps that my competition has left wide open. It would feel like actual cheating. But my role would not be doing the actual heavy lifting. It would be deciding what to build, deciding how to position it, and deciding where to take it next. Everyone else can stay drowning in meetings. I'd rather run my next billion-dollar company from my couch. Step number 3, treat product market fit like it's oxygen. Without it, you're dead. With it, you can take a punch after punch after punch and keep walking. I still remember the morning it clicked for me, the day I saw 10 million in monthly revenue. I hadn't run ads in a week. People were telling their friends. The snowball I started my late teens turned into an avalanche. Here's how you get there. Launch your product ugly. Better if it's V1 or a beta version. And if it doesn't embarrass you, you waited too long. Then get 10 people using it daily that become disciples, not mercenaries. Ask yourself, if my product vanished tomorrow, how would it make my customers feel? You want them to be in pain. Like, imagine if your customers lost all their electricity or their Wi-Fi or their water, how quickly they would complain to their utility bills. And you can make your technology company like a utility as well. Here's step number 4. Make the product do the marketing for you. Paying for every new user is a treadmill that you cannot win. Your product should spread itself. The company Calendly spreads via booking links, and WhatsApp spreads when you add permissions to your contact list. Figma also, it spreads when you share a file. Every user that you onboard should bring on another at least, and if they don't, you've built a prisoner, not a promoter. Step number 5 is pick a model that scales without you. The fastest way to stall is to sell your hours. And look, it doesn't matter if you're charging $50 an hour or $5,000 an hour or $50,000 an hour. The math will always catch up to you. Your income is chained to the clock, and that clock never scales. Every day just becomes a juggling act between chasing clients, delivering work, and trying not to burn out. I learned this the hard way. At one point, my calendar looked like a game of Tetris played by a sadist. It was back-to-back calls, endless urgent emails, and no time left to actually think about the future. I was making top 1% money, but every dollar felt like it increased my blood pressure. Then I switched from selling services to scaling software. And overnight, my business broke free from the clock. My calendar went from slamming to silent, but the revenue kept climbing. Instead of asking how many hours can I work this week, I started asking, how can I make this software scale without me? And the best part, my customers didn't just keep paying. They paid again and again and renewed themselves month after month. It's called MRR. That's the difference between being a high-paid worker and owning a machine that prints money in the cloud. So ask yourself, what scales in your business? Can you add SaaS, which is software as a service? Can you add a high-margin backend or a recurring front end? Can you add a marketplace? And do you have built-in network effects where links spread every time a customer joins? You want to make sure there's zero marginal cost and AI-driven services. And you want to do all this with almost no human touch. Anywhere there's a human touch, you want to see if you can eliminate it. The holy grail of business is a low ticket to a high margin that creates reoccurring revenue, and it's delivered through code with built-in network effects. Step 6, think in decades, not months. This is where most entrepreneurs fail. They confuse the fast start with the easy win. The billionaires in waiting will stay on one problem for 5 to 10 years. They're going to stack product quality, distribution, and data. And they're going to ignore all the shiny opportunities that don't serve their core mission. So if you're looking for an 18-month exit, you've already lost before you've begun. I never think about exiting my businesses. I love it too much, and I'm engaged in the process. The reward for outlasting everyone is much bigger when the market finally wakes up, and then you've built a monster that you can keep going all the way till the end of your life. Okay, step number 7, automate or die. Every time you do the same task twice, you're paying a tax in time that you're never going to get back. So my rule here is simple. If I have to repeat it, I replace myself. Instead of answering the same damn support questions all day, an AI can handle it. And it only passes things to me if it's truly urgent. So instead of cranking out new marketing from scratch every week, I've got an evergreen content engine that AI constantly repurposes into fresh posts, ads, and headlines. Onboarding new customers is easy too when you've developed a complex flow. It shows automated videos, in-app walkthroughs, and triggers perfectly timed emails, all 24 hours a day, even when I'm sleeping and without me lifting a single finger. Product feedback comes in auto-tagged, summarized, and dropped right into my inbox so I can act on it fast with my developers. The richest founders of the future, they don't have new jobs. They own systems that run whether they show up or not. Think about it like carrying buckets of water into Rome versus building an aqueduct. Step number 8 is build an unfair advantage. Being a little bit better than your competition is a slow death. Clayton Christian's one of my favorite authors, and he wrote a great book I recommend called The Innovator's Dilemma. He warned that this is exactly how you kill great companies. It's when they keep trying to outperform rivals at this same game with just micro improvements instead of changing the game entirely. So if you want to win, you need something that your competition can't just outright copy. It could be a brand that's so strong that it owns the niche. It could be a distribution channel that you control and they can't touch. Or it could be a network that's closed to outsiders. But the strongest moat of all is compounding data. Every new user you get makes the product smarter, the targeting sharper, and the gap between you and everyone else wider. That's how you make competition irrelevant. And that's exactly why Clayton Christian says disruptive innovation creates new markets by discovering new categories of customers that the big guys don't even know exist yet. Okay, step number 9. Default alive before you swing big. So what do I mean by default alive? It just means that your business pays for itself from the start. You're making more than you spend without relying on outside money, even at the seed round or the early A round. And that freedom gives you a huge advantage. You're not begging investors to keep the lights on, and you can take big swings without worrying that the whole thing will collapse. Once you've got that stability, you can start playing offense, move into new markets, launch new products, even buy up your competitors' audiences. Here's the truth. Survival buys you time, and time buys you luck. And luck is what builds huge businesses. Alexander the Great is a perfect example here. People remember him as one of history's greatest conquerors, but they often forget how much luck played into his life. He just so happened to be born to King Philip II. This was a man who had already built and trained the most advanced army of its time. By the time Alexander the Great took the throne, the hard work was done by his father. He walked into the best fighting military machine in the world. It was fully armed and ready to march in any direction he wanted. Your business is going to work the same way. If you can't survive long enough, the conditions will eventually line up to create luck. The perfect market shift, the right piece of tech, the competitor who stumbles, this is all going to work in your advantage. The key is staying alive just so you can get that one extra foot forward until the moment comes that you get luck as well. Step number 10 is be impossible to kill. The most dangerous companies aren't the flashiest. They're the cockroaches. They might be ugly, but they're small, fast, and impossible to kill. Durability comes from recurring revenue, loyal users, high switching costs, and low fixed costs. This also compounds when you have the speed of adoption playing in your favor. If you can adopt faster than a 1,000-person competitor, you stop being prey and you start to become the predator. You're the threat just by virtue of your speed. Here's the lever I teased at the start. Most founders think in straight lines. They want more users, more features, and more revenues. But the future solo billionaires, they think in spirals. They know every turn makes the whole business stronger than the last. AI will cut their costs, which means more profit you can pour back into gathering better insights and data. And then that data makes your targeting sharper, which wins you more loyal customers. And then these loyal customers spread the product, which makes acquiring new ones cheaper. And then cheaper acquisition, well, that lets you scale faster, which gives you even more data. This is called a virtuous cycle, and round it goes. Every cycle widens the gap between you and everyone else until copying you isn't just hard, it's impossible. You become impossible to kill. All right, let's wrap this up with a one-breath playbook. So start small and own a painful niche. And it's better if the niche is ignored by the largest incumbents within the space. And then use AI as your secret weapon. Obsess over the product market fit. Build your distribution right into the product so it grows itself 24 hours a day. And then pick a model that scales without you. And most importantly, play the long game. This is what Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk both have in common. And then automate anything that you do twice. Create an advantage no one copies. Get to default alive status, and then make your business impossible to kill. The tools are out there. The markets are borderless. The leverage is infinite. But here's the thing that most people won't admit. The first one-person billionaire won't be the most talented person. It'll be the one who outlasts everyone and outcompounds everybody and becomes too dangerous to compete with. If it's not you, you're going to spend the rest of your life explaining to your kids why you watched it happen during the greatest technological revolution of our time. We are in the era of AI. The clock is ticking. I'll see you guys in the trenches. And before you go, click here to watch my last video.